Hello, my name is Christine Santori. I'm a registered dietitian and certified specialist in obesity and weight management. Thanks for joining me. I wanted to put together a few classes just to provide some additional support and information for my patients and the patients of my colleagues as you go through this weight loss journey. I do just want to put a disclaimer out there and please understand that these classes are meant for educational purposes only, not to replace any specific advice that you've received from your medical providers. So just meant to be a support. What we're going to go over. So this is part one of a part two series of just the basics of weight management. Part one, we're going to cover everything that's not nutrition, all of the non-nutrition factors in terms of losing weight. So we're going to talk about mindful eating, intuitive eating. We're going to go over goal setting and self-monitoring and why those are important. We're going to talk about stress management and sleep hygiene, why those are important when we're talking about weight loss. We're also going to, in part two, go over specifics in terms of nutrition, what we want to avoid in terms of mindset and meal planning and what we want to kind of focus on. And then I'll give a summary of my specific recommendations for my patients. Okay, so, this class is to really kind of keep in mind that there's so much more to weight loss than just calories in. It's not just about calorie counting or trying to consume fewer calories without paying attention to all of the other things that are really important. So these classes are going to do a deep dive into some of those other factors that are really important when we're looking at weight loss. I have nothing to disclose. Okay, so intuitive eating. When we're thinking about intuitive eating or mindful eating, you can use those terms interchangeably. It really is just a way of thinking about eating based on internal cues of hunger and satisfaction as opposed to external triggers that we may come in contact with. And, when you really think about it in the society, when we're just so diet focused, we've really lost our inner intuitive eater and eat so much just based on what meal plan we're following or how much food is on the plate and not really focusing on internal cues. And I think it really does make a difference when we're talking about trying to lose weight easier. Okay. So think about hunger and satiety. Just waiting for my slides to catch up here. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. So think about hunger and satiety on this hunger scale, where 0 is very hungry. I need to eat right now. 10 is full, over full, kind of went too far. 5 is neutral, not one way or the other. 3 and 7 are what I call my magic numbers. 3 is what I would describe as comfortably hungry. This is a below the neck sensation in your stomach, a little empty feeling, telling you that you need to start thinking about your next meal. This is nothing dramatic. This is rather subtle, but it is non-mistakable as physical hunger. 7 on the other end of the scale is also subtle. This is, I'm just content and satisfied. Could I eat more? Sure, but I'm no longer physically hungry, really don't have a need to. I'm just okay, I'm good. Perfect world, if we could learn to bounce ourselves between 3 and 7, lots of things would kind of take care of themselves. Thinking about how you feel during the course of your day in terms of this hunger scale will allow you to hopefully identify and then modify a few very specific important components when it comes to losing weight. The first would be, do I have vulnerabilities towards pushing portion size? Am I one that is always seeking 10? Is that my goal at the end of meal, is to get to full or over full? These might be folks who go back for seconds or just eat what's on the plate, regardless of kind of how they're feeling, even though they might get a sensation as they progress through their meal where you say, I'm kind of okay, but this is really tasty, or there's still food on my plate. I'm a member of the Clean Plate Club, and you kind of keep going and you push. If that's the case, just knowing that those are your vulnerabilities can help you start changing them, saying, okay, I'm going to put half the amount of food on my plate that I would typically. Start there. You can always go back for more, but if you're prone to eat what's on the plate, I'd rather you start off with less so that it provides you that opportunity to reassess halfway or 3/4 through your typical portion to say, oh, am I okay now? Could I stop here and be fine? I want you not to think necessarily of full as the goal. Full is too late. Full is really your body's signal to you that you ate too much. We really want to end our meal at a point of comfort. No longer hungry, but could eat a little bit more, just can realize that maybe we don't need to. Thinking about this hunger scale also lets you identify times when you are eating and maybe hunger isn't the reason. How often am I standing in front of the refrigerator or the pantry and I'm not really hungry? There's something else that's putting me there. Maybe I'm bored or I'm looking for comfort, self-soothing, decompression. That too represents unnecessary eating. So if we can knock out, say, the final 10 or 15% of the portion at a meal and maybe eliminate a couple snacks here and there that might not be hunger motivated, those are calories that we're saving, and that helps you lose weight more intuitively without feeling as though you're just arbitrarily cutting portions or counting calories. So this is eating based on internal satisfaction. And I think it's really important. Not exactly sure what that noise was. So thinking about this hunger scale will help you for sure on your journey. It really does inform every conversation that I have with my patients moving forward. You know, it's not uncommon for me to get a diet recall from someone and they go through their day and start talking to me about their meals and their snacks. And I question them to say, why this snack at 3 o'clock? And they might immediately say, well, I'm hungry. But then when I question them again, are you really hungry? Physically hungry below the neck? Maybe when they reflect, they might say, not really, but it's just boredom, or I'm tired. I kind of need something to get me through the day. Then I would encourage them to do something else, not necessarily, eat what they think is better. And I think that this is where I might pull away from what I would call traditional diet mindset. So if you were to present to any commercial weight loss program and say, I like to snack frequently, they might just tell you to snack on what they consider to be low calorie foods. And I would take a different approach. I say, if you're not physically hungry, then there really is no conversation in terms of what snack am I going to be having? Because the answer is there's really no appropriate snack. If you're not physically hungry, no matter how healthy the food item is, it's extra. So I think the first question that we need to answer when it comes to eating outside of mealtime is, am I physically hungry and does this make sense in terms of the timing of my meals? And if yes, if you say, I have an early lunch and a rather late dinner and I'm physically hungry in the afternoon, then by all means, we can have a conversation as to what the best choice would be. But if you say, you know what, no, this is really not physical hunger. This is just, I am in the habit after dinner of sitting on the couch and watching TV and kind of just picking mindlessly on some snacks, then I would encourage you to do something else, not eat what you think is better. So instead of snacking, I want you to maybe ask yourself, really, what is the emotional trigger? Is it stress? Is it boredom? Is it just purely habit or opportunistic eating? Someone is next to me snacking, wouldn't have maybe thought of it otherwise, and come up with maybe some strategies to combat each one of those triggers. And the graphic that I have up just represents some of the replacement strategies that my patients have used over time. Okay. Another way to look at it, or to assist in getting to a place where you're eating more mindfully, is not to skip meals. So I generally say, breakfast, lunch, and dinner is where I would like you to put your focus. Some people can get away with 2 meals a day, but for most people, 3 meals a day is a nice structured plan. And then to pull back on any kind of snacking. If snacking, make sure it makes sense and the timing works. Maybe we can just adjust the timing of your meals to eliminate the need for a snack. Planning ahead really does help. So knowing when you wake up in the morning, pretty much what my meals are going to be and when they're going to be is very helpful in terms of allowing you to plug in and be more mindful and pay attention instead of just hoping for the best, when you kind of roll out of bed in the morning. Always think about avoiding full, not looking for full. Full is not the goal. Full is to tell you that you made a mistake, you ate too much. A little room. I don't want you getting up from the table still hungry, but not full either, just that perfect kind of 7. And then start the process of replacing food as a coping strategy. Think, what else can I do? Not what else can I eat? I think this is really important for many people who have spent lifetimes dieting. They never really addressed these issues, and they're at the core of so many of our just inherent relationship to food issues. Okay. So goals and self-monitoring. I feel it's very important for everyone to set goals at the beginning of their journey. And I would love these to not be number goals, not I want to lose X number of pounds. It's fine to have that, but my preference would be for you to focus on what I'm going to describe as non-scale goals, non-scale victories. What will losing weight provide you, or controlling your weight provide you in terms of benefit? And I've heard everything from I want to go skydiving and there's a weight limit to I just want to be able to play with my kids on the floor or travel more comfortably or avoid having to go on this medication or that medication. So write them down. Something happens, magic, when you put pen to paper. So write everything down, pen to paper, everything that you want to achieve. This is your leverage. We're going to ask you to make changes that are likely uncomfortable, outside of your comfort zone, outside of your norm, in order to get the best result. In order to do this, and in order to do this on a permanent type of lifestyle basis, it can't be because I said so or because your doc said so. Making these changes has to, at the end of the day, be about getting you what you want. And I want you to keep your eye on the prize, so to speak. So remind yourself of what your benefit is going to be. Write down this list of goals, make it the screensaver of your phone or laminate it and stick it on your bathroom mirror so you look at it every day when you're brushing your teeth. I want you to remind yourself of why you're doing this, of why you're making these tough changes, because at the end of the day, it's going to get you significant benefit. And I would encourage you to keep it real. I want to make sure that your goals and your expectations are realistic. Weight loss is not easy, nor is it quick. And anybody who tries to tell you that it is likely just trying to get in your pocket. So you really want to make sure that you have the expectation that weight loss is slow and sometimes arduous and challenging, and it's okay. It's okay. You're making long-term changes to positively affect your health and your weight permanently. This is a marathon, not a sprint. So I would encourage you to discuss with your providers what their expectation is. How much weight do they think that you should be losing or could lose potentially based on your medical profile, your height, your weight, your age, medications that you're on and such. So make sure that you have realistic expectations so that you don't inaccurately kind of feel that things aren't going well when we might feel they're going great. Okay. Self-monitoring. We know from the research that self-monitoring in some way can provide you benefit, and not only in terms of weight loss, but most importantly, in terms of maintaining that weight loss over time. So how do we self-monitor? We can self-monitor in a bunch of different ways. Just getting on the scale once a week so that you know where you are and how your progress is tracking. That is self-monitoring. Wearing a Fitbit so you know how many steps you're taking. That is self-monitoring. Writing down what you're eating is self-monitoring. Many of your providers, especially me, if you're saying me, will ask you to keep a food journal. I think it's really important. It allows you to be mindful about what you're eating. It provides some form of accountability to yourself. If you're writing it down, you're going to be paying attention a little bit more. It also, most importantly, allows us to target some areas where you might feel like you're struggling a little bit, and we know where to focus our attention during our conversations. You can do this in a bunch of different ways. So my preference, frankly, would be pen and paper. I'm old school, and I think that it's important to track the right things. And I don't necessarily think calories are what we should be tracking. So it's fine if you want to do it in an app, if you say, look, the app is really the only way for me, I'm not a pen and paper kind of person, okay, I'll take tracking any way that you're willing to do it, but I want to make sure that you're not getting bogged down in the numbers and the math, because in most of these apps, the calories are inaccurate. And sometimes it can allow you to get pulled into eating outside of those internal cues of hunger and satiety. You know, am I having that snack at night because I think I might have these calories coming to me based on the math in my tracker? So I say it's okay to track, but I don't want you to get hooked into the math. That's not the most important thing. It's not even close to the most important thing when losing weight. More important is that you're focusing on eating based on those internal cues of hunger and satiety, not eating for those emotional pulls, which are helpful to journal as well. So you can put down your mood, what's going on. You can write down the number that you feel you are sitting at that on the hunger scale in the journal. Blood sugar, if you suffer from diabetes, you know, anything that you want to add on to that food journal, I think is helpful. And I don't want you to feel as though this is homework or a job for you. So it doesn't have to be every single day of your life. It doesn't have to be super consistent. But even if you're doing this with some type of frequency and habit, it's definitely helpful long term. Okay. A couple other factors beyond nutrition that are important when we're talking about weight loss would be exercise, sleep, and stress. So all of these three components are just as important as what you're eating day in and day out in terms of weight loss. And this might be news to some people. Exercise might not be, but sleep and stress management sometimes is a little bit of a surprise to folks when I start asking them, how many hours of sleep do they get each night? Is it broken sleep? Do you feel rested? What about your stress level? How do you manage your stress level? These are questions that they may not be prepared for when they're talking to a nutritionist or a doctor, but they're just as important as everything else. So stress as an independent factor can leave you more vulnerable to put weight on, specifically that visceral, dangerous fat in the intra-abdominal areas. So we want to make sure that we're definitely addressing stress in a very intentional kind of way. I want you to think about it in terms of adding some daily self-care into your routine. It's important. So anything that you can do on a daily basis that allows you the opportunity to relax, decompress, and reset. And I would prefer this only be a few minutes each day. So if to start for sure, so that you don't feel like it's overwhelming. This shouldn't be a long time commitment. It could just be 2 to 3 minutes where you're sitting down and doing some relaxation breathing, or where you're just going outside to get some fresh air instead of grabbing that 3 o'clock snack. Stress is one of the main drivers of emotional eating, of eating outside of physical hunger. So if we can handle our stress during the day a little better, might not be able to handle how much stress we have, but we can handle how we react to it and how we address it. If we are addressing our stress on a daily basis by engaging in some type of self-care, then we may not be as prone or as driven to eat as a coping strategy for stress. I'm a big fan of these mindful techniques, so I just wanted to put them up here for you. So I think the apps are great. So if you are able to download one of the meditation apps, they have lots of different opportunities for very quick and simple, or a little bit more in depth, depending on your preference, of just guided relaxation techniques. Calm, Headspace. These are great resources. Just basic breathing exercises. You can Google box breathing, BOX, box breathing. That's a very quick and easy, simple breathing technique that you can do anywhere, anytime. Yoga is great. Sometimes you just need to take a break from the screens and just unplug for a little bit and allow yourself time to have some just quiet. So think about, what can I do? Or maybe it's just you want to throw the music on and dance around like no one's watching. Whatever it is for you that provides you that moment of decompression on a daily basis, so that you can check that box in your food journal and say, I did my daily self-care today, goes a long way in helping the whole picture. Okay, sleep. We also know that sleep as an independent factor, inadequate sleep as an independent factor, can leave you more vulnerable to put weight on. And less than 5 hours, I would say probably less than 6 hours, but the research will say 5. So disrupted sleep leads to weight gain. Sleep quality and duration affect the hormonal regulation of hunger and can lead to fatigue. If you're tired, you're not going to likely make the best food choices. You're probably not going to get up and do that exercise. So for all of these reasons, both internal and external inadequate sleep can leave you vulnerable to putting weight on. So tips, if you struggle with sleep, don't just say, I'm a poor sleeper. I hear that quite a bit. Don't resign yourself to that. Actively try to address it with your providers. Avoid caffeine after 12 o'clock, I would say for sure. Try to unplug from any electronics at least an hour before you're planning on going to sleep. That artificial light cues your brain to think that it should be awake. Establish some type of soothing bedtime routine. Think about how we put kids to sleep. We don't have them running around going crazy and then just say, go to bed. We tend to give them a bath and read them a story, kind of wind down from the day, but we don't do that for ourselves. So providing some type of soothing routine, maybe an hour before I go to sleep, I'm going to turn off all of the electronics, just read a book for a half an hour or so, drink some herbal tea, put together some type of routine for yourself. Stick to that schedule. And if none of this works, make sure that you address it with your docs. Have them assess you for sleep apnea if you feel like that might be of risk. It's a very underdiagnosed condition that so many people suffer from and can negatively affect sleep. So discuss this with your docs. Okay, so we have mindful eating. We have goals and self-monitoring. We have the sleep and the stress. And now we're going to talk about exercise. Exercise is very important. I always say that you can't exercise yourself out of a lousy diet. So this is always in conjunction with making changes to the quality of nutrition that you're eating. But as you're losing weight, physical activity becomes really important for a couple different reasons, but not only for weight loss. Physical activity is important for all of these other reasons listed. It decreases stress, reduces signs of aging, helps with insulin sensitivity, and all of these other factors, cardio status, very helpful. So you want to make sure that you're doing exercise just to be a healthy person. And then you get a side benefit of it also assisting with weight loss and calorie burn. As you're losing weight, what's important is that you're doing balanced exercise, especially through the lens of weight loss. Weight bearing and cardio are both very important to make sure that you're engaging in so that you are protecting your lean muscle tissue best that we can as you lose weight. So how do we start? Start off slowly from wherever you are, gradually increase it. Now, obviously, discuss this with your doc before you start any type of exercise program. You always want to make sure that you're getting clearance from your physicians, but start off with your comfort zone and increase slowly. Walking is the best way to start, I feel. Tracking your steps is the best way to start. See where you start. What is my normal? Am I normally walking about 1,000 steps a day? Then maybe 10,000 steps might be a bit of a reach for me right in the very beginning. Let me go from 1,000 to 2,000. Let me go from 2,000 in a couple of weeks, maybe to 5,000, and gradually and incrementally bring it up so that you don't risk injury, so that you are enjoying what you're doing, and this can become a normal part of your routine. Okay, so types of exercise in terms of the cardio that I mentioned, that would be anything that's increasing your heart rate, putting you in the position to be breathing heavy. So this would be your walking, your treadmill, your bike, elliptical, any kind of rowing machine, stair climbers, any sports that you're doing, maybe YouTube videos where you're jumping around, that's cardio. Strength training is anything that you're doing that's putting resistance on your frame. Could be done with light weights. This could be done with TheraBands from physical therapy, if you're familiar with that. Looks like big rubber bands. Could be using your own body weight with calisthenics or wall Pilates. So by doing some strength training in addition to cardio, you're putting priority on your lean muscle tissue so that your body doesn't think it's okay to waste it. And you're also building muscle cells. Building muscle cells is important as you're losing weight because muscle costs the body calories to exist. So by increasing your lean muscle mass through weight training, you are increasing your metabolic rate. Okay. And don't ignore the benefit of what I would call light activity. So just increasing your normal day-to-day activities, cleaning, walking around, stretching, doing certain things can really burn lots of extra calories. Just standing more is super helpful. So for all of my fellow remote workers out there, just doing your work while standing at a kitchen counter or a standing desk will burn significantly more calories during the day than you would if you were sitting at a chair for 8 hours. So you want to make sure that you can get as much in the course of the day. If you're in an office, maybe every time that you need to use the restroom, use the one that's a floor up or a floor down, as opposed to maybe the one that's right outside your door. So it forces you to kind of take some more steps during the day. Park further away in parking lots. Everything counts. So every calorie that you burn is going to be to your benefit and to your overall health and well-being. So in summary, for part one, we want to focus on eating more mindfully. So we're going to practice bouncing ourselves between 3 and 7. We're going to try to not push portion size and end up feeling at the end of meal like, oh, kind of went too far. We're also going to try not to snack unnecessarily. So if you are triggered to snack outside of physical hunger, we really want to figure out what is leaving you vulnerable and what else can I do, not what else should I eat. Want to make sure that we're setting realistic goals so that we can feel the success that we're achieving. We want to make sure that we're working each day to include daily self-care so that we're managing our stress, we're getting adequate sleep, we're starting some type of motion and putting some physical activity into our lives. Journaling is really helpful for all of these factors. And I encourage you, if you are struggling with anything specifically from this conversation or just your own journey, to discuss it with your providers when you meet with them one-on-one. We are here for you. We want to help support you through this process. I hope this was helpful. Stick around for part 2 or click the next link for part 2. And we're going to discuss the specifics in terms of eating and nutrition and which is the best way to go. Thanks, guys.